All right, excellent. Folks are joining us right now. It's lovely to see you all coming in from around the world. Hello to Spain. I know it is evening there. Thank you for spending some time with us. I am Nora Dock. I am the Director of Admissions and Enrollment Management here at Vermont Academy. I have been here, this is my fifth school year that I'm going into. I am a proud parent to three alumni. My daughter Amalia is going to be a senior in college now. And my middle child Cole just finished his first year at college. And my youngest son Yehun is going to be a sophomore at Vermont Academy. My husband teaches math here and design build and coaches a couple of different teams, girls JV soccer and girls varsity lacrosse. And we've loved every minute of our time here at Vermont Academy, and we're so excited that your families will be joining us as well. This session is recorded. We will be monitoring any questions that come into the chat. We will start by presenting some information to you, and then we are happy to answer questions as they come in. We'll make sure there's time at the end for that. I would love to take a moment to introduce you to my colleague, Mr. Adrian Diaz. Adrian, would you mind introducing yourself?
Of course. So very much like the Dog family, which they're Vermont Academy superstars. I also have a long history here at Vermont Academy. So I'm currently the Dean of Students and Athletic Director at Vermont Academy. And like many of the kids that are joining us right now in this call, I was once an international student that attended Vermont Academy. I graduated in 2014 from Vermont Academy. So I'm hoping that I can answer those questions with the Dean of Student hat on, but also sometimes with the a former student who had those questions as well once upon a time. So very excited to be here and very excited to be able to answer those questions that you have.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Diaz. We received some of the questions that you all submitted ahead of time and recognized that there were some common themes that came through. So we're going to start by presenting a little bit of information around where you can find the information you're seeking about the enrollment and class scheduling process. But before we get into that, I think Mr. Diaz and I would like to share with all of you just how seriously we take it that you are entrusting us with the care of your children. We have both lived and studied in countries outside of our home countries. We know firsthand what it means to be living so far from home, to be living in another culture, to be studying and thinking and making friends and playing sports in another language. It is no small task, and it requires a huge amount of bravery, not just from the students themselves, but from you as parents. Those of you on the call who are parents, it is an incredibly brave thing to send us your greatest joy and greatest resource. And we do not take that lightly. Vermont Academy is such a wonderful and dynamic learning environment because we welcome students with diverse lived experiences. Every conversation that happens in a classroom is enhanced by having a different perspective, a different cultural background represented in that dialogue. And that is something that is central and core to our belief system here. So we wanted to start by offering that to you to let you know that we are very much grateful that you are sharing your children with us, and we will be taking care of them while they are here. um, First and foremost, I wanted to make sure that everyone knew where to find information about what's required for the enrollment process. You have signed the contract, made the deposit, and declared your commitment to come here. Most of you at this point have received your student visas. And now there are additional forms and processes in order to make sure that the school year gets off to a smooth start. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for a minute and just show you where on our public website you can get access to some of these forms. These forms are also available through the resources tab in your parent My VA account. Okay, but here's a secondary place where you can find them. So I'll go ahead and share. Here we are on the main Vermont Academy website, and under the admissions section, which we'll see up here, you'll see at the bottom, there is this tab, Enrolled Wildcats. That's all of you who plan to join us in the fall. As you scroll down, on the right-hand side, this is where you can find important campus contacts. Up until now, your primary point of contact has been myself and my colleagues in the admissions office, and now we get to share you with the rest of the staff at school. So if you have general questions about your enrollment, you are always welcome to reach out to us. We are more than happy to answer them for you. If you have questions about navigating the health and medical forms, those are submitted through a platform called School Dock. You can reach out to our health services staff right here. If you have questions about your tuition payments or your billing plan, you can reach out to Jen Aldrich, who's the billing specialist in our business office here on campus. And here's her contact information. And what seems to be front of mind for many of you right now is around academic questions and class selection. So the person to reach out to there is our academic dean, Ms. Lorna Schilling, and she can be reached here. We'll be talking a little bit more specifically about navigating the course registration process in just a moment. Additionally, residential life questions can go to our amazing student life team, which includes Mr. Diaz and a couple other wonderful colleagues. They can be reached at this email address down here, studentlife@vermontacademy.org. So that's who to reach out to when you need a person to respond to your question. For general information, the best place to go is to click right here on this tab, the Enrollment Timeline and Resource page, and I already have it open up here. And this is where we have a living document that outlines for you when and where you can find the different forms to complete. You will also have received in your email every other week, a weekly email that introduces you to a different office on campus. So for example, the one that went out most recently is Meet Academic Affairs, and it tells you how to access your MyVA account and how to approach course selection. This went out on July 18th. If for some reason it did not end up in your email inbox, perhaps it went to spam or somewhere else, on this living document, you can click the link and open the email that went out. So magical. So here we are with the Prepping for Fall newsletter that was sent on July 18th. This talks about meeting academic affairs. This is Miss Tammy Clark. She issued your I-20. And this is Miss Lorna Schilling. She's our academic dean. It tells you what to do about selecting courses, how to start your summer reading. And it walks you through the process of what needs to be accomplished on the student side before you can register for classes. So first and foremost, you have to be able to access your Vermont Academy email address. If you haven't done that yet, the instructions on how to do so are outlined in this email. Once you are able to access your Vermont Academy email address, you will also have access to your MyVA student account. And this is where you're able to register for courses. It must be done through the student portal. Parents cannot register for classes on behalf of their students. So in this next section, it spells out for you step by step what you need to do to register for classes. And within this section, there is a link to the curriculum page on our public-facing website. And this is where you can see a typical schedule by grade level. So let's say you're entering as a 10th grade student. Here's a list of classes that the typical 10th grade student would take. You can find their equivalents listed in the course catalog and register for those when you are going ahead and selecting your courses. Once you submit your selected courses, those are reviewed by the Academic Studies Office, and they will build a schedule based on your requests. Once you get to campus, you will receive a printed copy of your schedule. Your advisor will help you find the classrooms where those classes will take place and walk you through it. And there is a 2-week add drop period. What that means is during those first 2 weeks of the trimester, you have the opportunity to change classes. If there is something that doesn't feel like the right level, or perhaps you've decided you want to pursue a different elective, you are welcome to make those changes during that period of time without any penalty to grades or being able to earn the full amount of credit. Okay? So that is a brief overview of the class selection process. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing here. All of these resources we can email to you. If you feel like you are not able to find them on your own, we are happy to send them to you. Reach out to the admissions office. You can reach out to me directly if needed. Okay. Wonderful. So that is a little bit about class selection. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Mr. Diaz now so that he can share with you more about international student arrival and what to expect.
Thank you so much, Miss Doc. Tough act to follow, but I'll try my best. First, I wanted to mention something that I think Miss Doc really explained it really well. Our goal at Vermont Academy is to make sure that your kids for these places they're home away from home, right? So we're gonna be working above and beyond with you families, with you kids, to make sure that you feel like this is actually your home away from home, the same way that I felt when I was a student here, the same way that year after year we've been doing it with every international student, because we understand how um how difficult it is to transition from having your kid every day in your home to now send them away from you, thousands and thousands of miles away from you, even for some of you. So again, no question is a small question, and no question will go unanswered. So that resource page that Nora shared with you is very important, because there will be many questions that you might have, and we want you to make sure that you can ask those questions. So um, going into what to expect and what's next, right? One of the things that a lot of people ask before they get here is, what happened once I drop my kid at the airport? Well, great question. The first thing that you need to know is that I'm gonna put this on the chat. It's the same email that Miss Doc sent share with you in the resource page, but it's the student life email. All your travels, okay, all the travel information that you have, the arrival time for the to the Boston airport or to the Hartford airport, please send those to the student life email. The reason for it is because we arrange transportation for the kids with a third party called Thomas Transportation, and we want to make sure that your kid, as soon as they arrive, that they are ready to jump into that car and make sure that we have a smooth transition into the main campus, right? So we want to make sure that we're on top of it. Our assistant dean of students, Sarah Nabik, is wonderful. She has been doing this for many years, and we want to make sure that we also start establishing that connection with you as families, and that we can already work on how to make this place a home for your kid. So please send those to studentlife@vermontacademy.org, and we will be able to take it from there. If you are arriving to campus with your kids, some of the families are doing that. That's fantastic. There is nothing that makes us happier than to have the whole family here on campus for the first time, and being able to give you a quick tour, being able to tell you, where the rooms are, kind of like everything, right? I feel like one of the things that happens sometimes is your kid tells you how beautiful and wonderful Vermont Academy is, but you've never been there. So if you have a chance to come, we welcome you. We welcome you. We would love to chat with you and get to put a face to the name, right? So if you arrive on the 25th, okay, that will be Monday, August 25th, you have kind of like all day to arrive. Our proctors or wonderful student leaders will already be here. They will be ready to greet you. Student Life will be able to greet you as well. For the students that come from far, far, far away and they come on their own and they get into the airport, we want to be able to give them the whole day, obviously, to arrive, to get to campus, to settle in. But if you come as a family, please feel free to come as soon as you want to. Usually, most families come after noon. But if you want to come earlier and get a visit, that's completely fine as well. We want to make sure that that you feel welcome and that you have that kind of like full day to be able to plan your travels around it, because we understand that sometimes you might be even coming from a plane that same day, and if the plane arrives at 6 p.m., there is nothing we can do about it. So we will be here waiting for you throughout the entire day. Once you drop your kids, one of the questions I saw already in the sheet was that what do we do once we drop them in? Can we come in and visit on the 26th, on the 27th, take them out for lunch, for dinner? The campus is always open for parents, always open for parents. We would love, obviously, communication to make sure that we can plan ahead. Those first days from the 25th all the way to the 28th, when registration happens, are mostly for international students to get acclimated to the campus, to the culture. We're gonna be go shopping. We're gonna make sure that the students understand the difference between their home and then the culture in the home and the culture in the United States, academics at Vermont Academy, everything that you can imagine. So we do have an agenda that we're going to be going through every day to make sure your kids are ready for that the August 28th registration day, and they feel like they already know this place and they feel comfortable with this place, and go from there. That being said, we understand families wants to obviously spend time with your kid with their kids before they go for good, right? That's completely okay. What I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be sharing the AOD phone number, and you might ask yourself, what is the AOD phone number? Is the administrator on duty phone number. This is a phone that is passed by all the administrators, senior leadership, someone like Miss Dock, myself, people that have been here for long that can obviously help with any questions you might have. And this phone works 24/7. Everyone has it 24/7. And if something happens, if there's any questions, anything that you want to go through, anything at all, that's the phone number to ask. We will always have someone with the phone number that will be able to answer. The reason why I'm giving it to you is because those first 2 days, before we go into the whole procedure of how do checkouts and check-ins work, sign out, sign ins work, that will be the best number for you to contact if you want to take your kid out for lunch or for a dinner or etc etc. But that being said, I will be very mindful that those days are specifically planned for your kid to be able to get a jump start into the year and to make sure that they are ready for it. And we will have a lot of things that will be going through that new international orientation um, schedule will be shared with you in the upcoming weeks closer to August 20th in one of those wonderful newsletter that Miss Doc was talking about. There will be one about meeting student life as well, but then closer to the beginning of the year, of the academic year, we will send one with the opening of a school schedule and the international orientation schedule. All right. So that's a little bit about the beginning of the year. I will say that then throughout the year, the main point of contact person will be for international student will be myself as well as Miss Doc, but mostly me as part of the student life group and someone that again has been on that wearing that hat that your kids will be wearing before. And again, I want to make sure that you know that there is no small question. We're always here, and that we are ready to make sure that this is, as I said before, the home away from home for your kids. I think that's a little bit of what I had. I know that I just said a lot of things, but I welcome any questions, Miss Doc. I don't know if you have any extra thoughts that you want to be sharing before we open the door for questions.
Yeah, I would thank you, Adrian. I would just add to this. It's very important as you're preparing to leave to travel that you make sure that you have your I-20 document fully signed and ready to travel with you. In addition to carrying your passport, if you are coming from outside of the US, and not from Canada, and not a Canadian citizen, you will need to have your student visa in there as well. increasingly at border control and passport checks in airports, there is the possibility that officers will be asking to look at your social media accounts on your phone. This is something that is new for the US, and it is being practiced at different levels depending on where you enter. We don't quite know yet that it will be required of all students entering on an F1 visa, but you should be prepared to be able to share your social media accounts, or make sure that you have turned off your face recognition and fingerprint lock on your phone if you do not wish to share your social media accounts. The Border Patrol officers cannot ask for your passport, but they can ask for you to unlock using your fingerprint or your face ID. Some of these requirements are changing day by day and hour by hour. We are staying very much on top of them and are happy to give travel advice to you as families, or if you're on this call and you're an agent supporting international students, we're happy to share that as well. Mr. Diaz, could you talk a little bit about anything related to what students should or shouldn't travel with in terms of bedding or other items?
Definitely. But before that, Nora, if you don't mind, I can only send in the chat things to host and panelists. I didn't know that. Thank you, Santiago, for that. Nora, do you mind like copying and pasting what I sent so they can have it? Thank you so much. Great, yes. So, what should you bring in the 40-pound bag that you bring to the airport, right? I mean, let's be honest, it's completely different from like a local student that can bring a mini fridge, all these things that because they come via car, right? Instead of coming through a plane. Well, don't worry. What I will say is the essentials for you to bring, right, will be definitely clothing, especially a couple coats, warm clothing, because looking at the schedule, right, most realistic time to for your kids to go back to your families will be during the winter break. Sometimes it might be the Thanksgiving break as well, but it starts getting cold in November, right? So a coat or two are always great. And then I will say the dress code for us has been shared in within one of the newsletters. Actually, I think it's going out this Friday, which will be great for you to take a look at it. Everything clean. Khakis, jeans, in terms of the bottoms, and then any polo shirts, any color shirts will be great. We have a lot of great traditions at Vermont Academy. One of them is called formal meals. And one of the things that a lot of international kids forget to bring is a suit or a nice dress. And those are important to bring because one of the wonderful traditions that we have, the formal meal, involves dressing up a little bit, right? That's not every day. That's not something that we do every single day. But it's very wonderful to see every kid very dressed up during the formal meals. It's a great way to connect with the community, with classes, I mean, with people that you might not know as well. And it's wonderful. So definitely some very good clothing, okay? But then also some day-to-day clothing that your kid will wear. In terms of other things for the room, decorations, a little TV, mini fridge, we offer tons of tons of trips for international kids, shopping trips that will allow the kids to then buy those detailed things that they really want for their room. If they want to buy a rug, if they want to buy a small TV, little things that obviously between the families and the kids they can talk about it and make sure that everyone is on the same page. But we offer those trips on a weekly basis to make sure that they get that right. Bedding is something that we will on the first day going on a shopping trip because a lot of the kids might not have the right bedding for the bed, right? So the first, what I will say is to the best of your ability, try to bring at least one bedding sheet, right? Twin XL is the beds that we work with at Vermont Academy, but then starting the first day we will be able to be going grocery shopping and actually shopping to just get again all the things that you need for the room, snacks as well, and all those things will be definitely available for you. So what I will say is, don't worry if you feel like, oh, I cannot fit everything in the bag. It's fine. We understand that. That's why we offer those international orientations day to get that jump start going. But most importantly, to make sure that your kids have everything they need before the school year starts. So we take that we're very mindful about it. We make sure that we connect with every single kid to make sure they have everything they need. Um, if for whatever reason there is something that they're missing that they need right away, as soon as they get here, we can provide that. Okay, we also obviously have vehicles and Vermont Academy vehicles, and we can. There's some stores that are just walking distance as well. We have a market that is just walking distance. We have a school store as well. So all those things will be able to be provided for you. Another important thing to know will be if you want to send things ahead of time, you are also able to do so. So, one of the forms that will be shared with you this Friday is what to bring and what not to bring. In there, for international kids, it's very important the bottom part, and that bottom part will share the PO address that we have in order if you would like to send things ahead of time to Vermont Academy. We'll be able to get that package, keep it with us, keep it safe, and then when your kid arrives, we'll be able to provide that package to them. That goes for bedding. A lot of people maybe they bring some decoration already. They buy maybe at Amazon or other places like that some decoration for the room ahead of time, and you can send those to Vermont Academy, and we will take care of them until your kid gets here. Um, yeah, welcome any questions you might have. I know that Nora is doing a great job answering some of those already, but the most important thing that I will say, if you get something out of the this last part of like what to bring, what not to bring, I will say don't worry if you feel like you cannot bring everything with you, because that's completely fine. That happens, and we offer plenty of opportunities for the kids to buy things, especially those first 3 to 4 days. We're gonna have daily trips to make sure that the kids can buy stuff that they need, that they feel like they need. We have an awesome school store that will be open that sells most of the stuff that is needed, and also we have a great market at Saxton River that is just a walking distance that also have essentials for them. And then eventually throughout the weeks, the kids will be able to identify other things that they might feel like they want to, that they might feel like they need, and go from there.
Excellent. Adrian, there's a question in the chat asking, well, what do we do about bringing sports clothes or sports equipment for training for different athletes? Can you speak to that?
That's awesome. Yes, so I can definitely speak to that. In this case, I'll put my athletic director hat on. I want to say two things. Obviously, the first one will be it's important to bring some clothing, right? Some athletic clothing that you have specific for the sports that you're going to be playing. It's always great to have extra pair of everything, right? However, the second point that I will say, most of the practice gear, game gear, travel gear is provided by Vermont Academy, which is a great thing for especially for international students. We have practice jerseys, we have game jerseys, we have for other sports, for example, like hockey, we have team bags where they can bring everything. All those things will be provided by the school. However, if I would say as someone that was here and probably had the same question, it's important for you to bring maybe a couple of athletic shirts, couple of athletic shorts, your cleats, things like that, because those ones will be important to make sure that you have them for those preseason practices, for those first days while things are not given to you. But again, another important thing to know, those first 3 days we don't have practices, we don't have preseason. It's mostly for students to be able to acquire those things that they feel like they will need. So if for whatever reason in your baggage those things don't fit, that's completely fine. The first day that the kids arrive, they arrive on the 25th. On the 26th, we will have a nice first shopping trip in which they will be able to get those things, and we will be able to guide them as well, depending on the sport. Hey, this is what you might need. This is what you don't need. And if you want to send those questions ahead of time, that's also completely fine. I will be more than happy to answer them as well as athletic director, because sometimes yeah, especially when you try a new sport, you don't know specifically what you need and what you don't need, and we're happy to guide you through it.
Excellent. Thank you. We invite people to put any questions you might have in the chat. You're also welcome to raise your hand if that's an option for you, or use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. I think it's really important what Adrian just mentioned about those first few days being purposely without athletic commitments for students. We really want the focus to be on making sure that students who are coming from outside of the US have the time to be able to adjust to new time zones, new hours that we eat food here on campus,
Mhm.
new foods that are available, to learn the layout of the physical campus, so that when athletic commitments do begin, or when other students start arriving to campus, your children are able to fully focus on forming those important connections. They are not going to be burdened by having to figure that out at the same time that they are adjusting to all of these physical changes. Additionally, we'll be talking to your children about cross-cultural adjustment. And this is something as parents that it's important for you to be aware of. It tends to be that when young people come to a new country and culture, for the first couple of weeks, everything feels wonderful. It is all new and exciting, and they are in love with campus, and their new roommate is amazing, and they love all their teachers. And then as the weeks go by, things that they expect based on their home culture to go one way start being handled in a different way, right? So you might expect that, well, it's 10 o'clock, it's time for me to eat dinner. Oh, at Vermont Academy, dinner is served at 5 p.m. That is a big shift. And those little differences can start to build up, and they turn into a phenomenon that you may have heard of called culture shock. Culture shock is the repetitive accumulation or adding up of when your expectations and the reality bump up against each other. That usually reaches its lowest point around week 6 to 8 of the school year. And that's where students can feel really homesick. And they might start telling you more that they miss being at home. This also happens to coincide with where we host our family weekend on campus. And that's where families who are able to are invited to come and visit. If you can be here in person, that can be a wonderful opportunity to kind of reset. But we recognize that not every family can travel for family weekend. And so as a faculty, we have designed some really special activities and programming for our international students who aren't able to see their families during that time. And this is where the student life office and your child's advisor and their dorm parents, we are also all trained in cross-cultural adjustment and the cycle, so that we know where we can lean in and provide extra support. We also are preparing your children to ask for help when they are feeling extra homesick, so that we can give them the support that they need to be able to learn how to adjust. And the goal there is that not every day is amazing and wonderful, and not every day is dark and terrible. But days are pretty much the norm. Some are great and some are less than great. And that's just how it goes.
And I will
Bed
also.
size is
Oh,
twin XL. Sorry, go ahead,
no,
Adrian.
no, that was great. I was going to answer that, but I also wanted to add that we also have some wonderful student leaders, and some of them are purposely also international student leaders because they have gone through the same thing that your kids will go through. And sometimes some questions are easier to ask to another student than to an adult, and we understand that when we want to make sure that the kids feel comfortable asking those questions to the another student. So our student leaders are people that have been already here for at least 2 years, right? 2 to 3 years. they feel ready to show what Vermont Academy is all about to new students. And that goes with also some questions, right? As simple as, how do I use the a laundry machine? That will be an easy one, right? Right off the bat. Not everyone knows to. Not everyone knows how to do it. Might be a little bit different in the U.S. than they are in other countries. That's why we have some student leaders there as well that will be in each dorm, in each floor of each dorm, making sure that they are available for your kids. We have wonderful dorm parents that are on duty throughout the day. There's always one person on duty in each dorm to make sure that they're also available for you and for your kids. If there's any questions, if there's any concerns, if there's something that they want to be talking about. But so we offer, what I wanted to basically say is we offer a lot of different resources and tools for your kids to use. And the first days are important for them to recognize what those tools are, what those resources are, so they can go and ask for help when needed.
Excellent. Well, we are coming up. We've been going for about 40 minutes now. We've got 5 minutes left in the session, and we're happy to answer any other questions that folks might have.
And
Feel
we
free
want
to
to thank
thank
you
you
for
for
chat.
giving up part of your day to spend time with us. We're really looking forward to having your students on campus and starting an amazing school year.
Yeah, and I'll add what I said at the beginning too. There's no such thing as small questions, so please feel free to ask them. Nora um, can speak as a mom, right? As a mother of three kids that have been here. I can speak as an alum, as someone that was in your kids' shoes at some point. So I hope that you guys feel comfortable asking those questions.
Mhm.
Uh, Diana, that's a great question. More families traveling from Madrid on the 25th. There could be some of them, and actually, if sometimes when we have multiple people coming from a country, it's good to get those people maybe to interact with each other before they get on the plane. So if you want to send me an email to studentlife@vermontacademy.org, I will be able to see if there is someone coming that same day. I'm not sure out of the top of my head, but will be happy to look into that.
Excellent. And Santiago, I see you're asking about what does a typical day's schedule look like? In general, our dining hall will start serving a hot breakfast around 7:30 in the morning. There's also, continental breakfast items that will be available in the dining hall. Your first class of the day can start around 8 a.m. Most class blocks are just about an hour in length. There will be some lab blocks that are 90 minutes. The typical student takes 5 or 6 classes in their schedule. You will have a free period built into your schedule where you can do homework or play table tennis or go for a walk during that free block. Lunch is served between the hours of 11 and 1 p.m. So somewhere in your schedule, you will have a break there. Your academic commitments will wrap up by about 3:45-ish, and then you transition into your structured afternoon activity. For some students, this will be a team sport like soccer, football for the rest of the world, or it might be something like theater tech or yearbook. That's a little bit more arts oriented. Depending on the activity, that will go anywhere from about an hour and a half to 2 hours. We serve dinner in the dining hall between 5 and 7 p.m. most evenings. Students will have an hour of free time between 7 and 8, and then there's mandatory study hall from 8 to 10 p.m. each night. Lights out by 10:30, and that's also when the Wi-Fi will shut off for most students. So that's a typical full class day here.
No, and then just to add a little bit to it, on the weekends, when there's a little bit more time, a little bit more freedom, we also want your kids to be able to enjoy being teenagers. So we offer tons of on-campus and off-campus activities. That can go from like going to the movie theater, going bowling, trip to Boston, to then things on campus like learn how to knit, learn how to cook 101. The one has been a fan favorite for a lot of people, just to make sure that the kids feel like there is always things to do. Sometimes you might have such a long week that you might be like, I just want to hang out with my friends and do nothing on Sunday, and that's completely fine. But we want to make sure that we offer those activities in case you want to go out there, obviously, and have some fun. And most of the kids take great advantage of it. And we often ask the kids, what do you want to see on the weekends? What would you like to do? So we can always adapt and create new opportunities for them.
And even for those students who want to create their own adventure, there will be mandatory times that we need to put our administrator eyes on their beautiful faces to make sure that they are alive and well. So they cannot go completely rogue on the weekends. There are specific mandatory check-in times that we have to see them face to face, but otherwise they are free to hang out with friends and have all kinds of fun on campus.
Great question, Santiago. As parents, are we having a feedback with the counselor or tutor? Yes. So we have what it calls advisor. We have wonderful advisors who will have between 6 and 8 students kind of like under their belts. They will be like the little ducklings, and they will be your main point contact person. That will happen probably um, a week before your kid gets here on August 25th. You will start getting some emails from those advisors, or some text messages from those advisors, to make sure that you start getting those connections with them. And they will be your main person to connect with, between you and the student. It often happens that at the beginning, as Nora said, everything is wonderful, it's great, and you wanna the kid texts everything to the parents, and they're always on phone calls. But it happens often that by week 2, they forget about the parents a little bit, and they're like, "Oh my God, I was so busy, I didn't have time to call you today." First of all, as parents, please keep pushing them, because they need to call you back. They need to call you back. But also, that's why we have those amazing advisors, to make sure that you can always text them, and they can act like as they're your eyes on campus. So again, they're wonderful resources, and they will be able to contact you early on, before your kid gets on the plane.
And I would add that in terms of academic feedback, you will get that around every 3 weeks in the form of what are called effort marks. That will provide both a numeric capture of how your student is doing in each class, but also some commentary on how much effort they are perceived to be putting into their classes. And the intention there is so that there are no surprises at the end of the trimester, and the student, the advisor, and the family know when it might be necessary to change direction, if things are not going the way as expected, or where we might need to add in extra support in order for a student to be successful. So we have time, I think, for one last question coming to us from Diana. To select classes, how many are recommended? Thinking in 5 that will last all 3 trimesters, and 3 electives that would last for 1 each. Yeah, between 5 or 6 classes is a typical student schedule. If your student intends to participate in any of our performance ensembles, so that would include jazz, chamber, vocal ensemble, those will show up, or a music lesson, those will show up in their schedule as an additional class. They don't meet typically more than once or twice a week. So it's a little bit different than carrying a full 1 credit course for an entire trimester or for an entire year. Those are things that can be adjusted during that add drop period that we talked about. It is also important to remember that in addition to academic and athletic commitments, part of the goal is for students to be making friends and learning how to live in another cultural environment, and that can be take up resources in terms of a student's energy. So it may be the case that you want to err on the lighter side of the load. That would allow a student to continue to make academic progress, but perhaps also give a little bit more space for the adjustment period. but we're happy to connect you with the studies office to talk about it on an individual basis. So, okay, well, we have hit our time limit. Thank you all so much for being with us today. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have additional questions, and we look forward to seeing you in just a few short weeks. Excellent. Thank you so
Enjoy.
much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.